Today I'm going to show you when to go First Strike Z, when to go Conqueror Z, and when to go Electrocute Z. Recent changes have made Zed a pretty complicated champion. You can use up to 3 viable Rune pages on him and you can combine many different item builds. Almost every game you need to change something and build something different, and today I'm going to teach you how to exactly know what you should do every single game with Zed. First I'm going to show you which Rune page works best in general. Then after that we are going to go into more detail and more specific cases. Okay, so first let's see the current best Rune page for this patch with Zed. First Strike is probably just the best Rune page for Zed right now. The reason why is because you can take it most of the games and it's still going to be a really good choice, and it's the most consistent Rune page from all of them that leads to successful games. You generally want to take it if you are playing against mages in the mid lane like Ahri, Annie, Victor, Veigar and so on. Also, it's pretty good against really tanking champions that you can't kill like Cho'Gath, Malphite, Ornn. If you can't kill them anyway with Zed, you can at least farm First Strike on them, which is really good because you will outscale them later. A lot of people ask me why I go Absolute Focus, and the reason why is because with First Strike you usually want to go Duskblade, and Duskblade gives you ability haste passively, so that's why you want to go Absolute Focus and not Transcendence. If you are going Eclipse, you can take Transcendence instead. Another thing that you can take is Minion Dematerializer. If you're really good at using it, you should take it every game, but if you struggle to find a good time to use it, feel free to use Futures Market. That rune is also really good because it allows you to buy Hydra sooner, which will allow you to stack it to 40 stacks sooner. Okay, and now let's see the second most used Rune page with Zed this patch, and that is Conqueror. You generally want to pick Conqueror if you're against melee champions in mid lane, fighters like Yasuo, Sylas, Diana, Renekton, or tanks like Malphite or any other tank. If you're playing against champions that you can't really kill, the best secondary runes that you can go are Magical Boots and Futures Market. The reason why Futures Market is that you buy Hydra super early, because against tanks you want to get Hydra as the first item. Against fighters like Yasuo, you can use the same runes as this one, or you can change it up to Transcendence and Scourge for a more aggressive playstyle. If you're going Duskblade, you can change Transcendence to Absolute Focus. Now a question that you're probably asking. Okay, I understand when to go First Strike and Conqueror, but when do you go Electrocute? Electrocute is kinda similar like First Strike, but it's stronger for poking in lane and for all-inning somebody early game. It is basically a stronger early game First Strike, but a worse late game First Strike because it doesn't scale that well. Let me show you an example when you can take Electrocute. Imagine that you're playing against Katarina. Conqueror is a really good rune into Katarina because you can win a fight with Conqueror pretty easily against her if you know how to stack Conqueror stacks. If the enemy team has a Nautilus bot lane, for example, Malphite top and Zek jungle, Conqueror is simply the perfect rune here against Katarina. But what if the enemy bot lane is Lucian and Nami and the jungler is a Nidalee, for example? Is Conqueror still good? Not really. Against squishy targets like those ones, you want to take First Strike. But the problem with First Strike is that it's not really good into Katarina, since it's so hard to win a 1v1 duel versus her when you have First Strike. So the best rune in that position is Electrocute. Electrocute is good into Katarina since you can 1v1 her pretty easily with it, and it's also good into the rest of the team since they have so many squishy characters. Look at this game for example. Here I was playing against Vladimir. First Strike is a pretty good rune against Vladimir since you can farm it on him easily, but with First Strike you can't really kill a Vladimir. Because I took Electrocute, it allowed me to kill him many times this game, and it's also really good to just one-shot Kai'Sa and Evelynn too, and that's why I took it instead of First Strike. Another example is this Yone. Against Yone, First Strike is not so good since it's hard to kill him 1v1 with First Strike. But with Electrocute it's so easy to win 1v1 versus him, and that's why I took it. Also, why I took it instead of Conqueror is because they had a really squishy jungler and an immobile AD carry. If they had Zeg jungle in this game instead of Nidalee, I would have taken Conqueror. So basically, you want to take Electrocute against champions that Zed can easily kill 1v1 like Kassadin, Katarina, Yone, LeBlanc, Vladimir and so on. You take it depending on the rest of the team. If they have many squishies, just take Electrocute, it's pretty good. If they have tankier champions, go for something else. So the first rule of taking the perfect runes with Zed is this. First you look at your enemy laner that you're playing against. Then you look at the rest of the team. Based on those two things you choose your runes. Let us see some examples. This game I played against Kassadin. Since Zed is so much better than Kassadin and can kill him in a 1v1 duel, you should take Electrocute or Conqueror. Not First Strike because it's not so good for killing him 1v1. Now that I know that I'm either gonna use Electrocute or Conqueror, I'll look at the rest of the team. In bot lane they have a squishy support Nami and AD carry is Caitlyn. That's why I decided to take Electrocute and just focus on killing Kassadin in laning phase and later snowball my lead and one-shot Nami or Caitlyn. And that is exactly what I did, and that's why Caitlyn and Nami had both 11 deaths. If they had Leona in bot lane for example instead of Nami, I would have taken Conqueror. This game I played against Yasuo in the mid lane. Against Yasuo the best rune page that you can take is Conqueror. You can take Electrocute too. If they had a squishy jungler, I would have probably taken Electrocute, but since they had a tanky jungler Jarvan 4, I took Conqueror. I knew that I would outscale this Yasuo pretty hard, so that's why I went Magical Boots and Futures Market. I knew that there was no reason to fight this Yasuo because if I tried to, Jarvan 4 might gank me since he is one of the best ganking junglers in the game. That's why I took Teleport instead of Flash and just scaled. I bought Hydra first item into Eclipse and completely outscaled Yasuo and won the game pretty easily. This game I was against Ezreal in the mid lane. He's a really squishy champion, so my choices this game were Electrocute or First Strike. I decided to take First Strike since I can kill this Ez pretty easily even with First Strike, and I knew that I didn't need Electrocute to kill him. This Ezreal played pretty good for an Ezreal mid lane, but First Strike allowed me to scale super good this game, so that game was a really easy stomp together with my jungler Kha'Zix. So to recap on how I choose my runes on Zed. First thing that I do is look at my lane opponent and then I narrow the rune page option to just 2 rune pages that are good against that champion. After that, I look at the rest of the team and make my choice based on all of that information. When it comes to the build, the best item on Zed right now is probably Duskblade. If you mix Duskblade together with Hydra, Zed becomes a monster in teamfights and in 1v1 situations. I buy Duskblade first item if I get early kills on Zed. The reason why is because that item allows you to snowball your lead even harder and stomp the game. Second, I always go Hydra. If you don't get any early kills and the game is slower, feel free to just buy Hydra first item and then after that buy Duskblade. If you're playing against many tanky champions, Eclipse is probably the better option. Duskblade is the best option if you're going Electrocute or First Strike Zed, but if you're going Conqueror, the best option is Eclipse. Yumu's Ghostblade is a really good item if you get a huge early lead and if you're playing against a lot of squishy immobile champions. Your whole build should always have a mythic item, Hydra, Serilda and Black Cleaver. If the enemy team isn't really tanky, you can delay buying Black Cleaver and buy Edge of Night or Prowler's Claw instead. I would recommend buying Prowler as your third or fourth item because when you buy it later it has more damage since it scales with bonus AD. Never buy Prowler as your second item. If the enemy team has many shields, always look to buy Serpent's Fang. That item is extremely good into shields. And that's about everything that you need to know about runes and items with Zed. If you have any more further questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below. Only 25% of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed, so if you liked that guide, a subscribe would mean a lot to me. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.